In this video, I will show you how to do combinations of transformations. In other words, we will do more than one transformation in a row. For problem number 1, we are first going to translate triangle ABC to the right by 5 units. So the way you translate 5 units to the right is you take the x values and you add 5. Meanwhile, you leave the y values alone. So we can just do that right here by adding 5 to all the x values. So if I add 5 and add 5 and add 5, I'm going to get 6, 2 and 4, 2, 4, -1 and 2, 4. All right, so we added 5 to the x values to move to the right, and we left the y values alone. So these are the coordinates of the image that we have after the first translation. So we could graph these if we wanted to. So 6, 2 would be like here. 4, -1 would be here. And 2, 4 would be here. Okay, so this is our A prime, B prime, and C prime. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw that triangle, if I may. Now, notice that we don't actually have to draw this middle step in order to get the final answer. I'm just doing this to show what's happening, but you are allowed to skip this step. So far we have slid the triangle 5 units to the right, translation 5 units to the right. But now it is time to reflect across the y-axis. So we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to reflect over the y-axis. So if you do that, the rule for that is a generic point x, y will become the point opposite of x, y. This is the rule for reflecting over the y-axis. So I'm going to use this rule on these points. So the opposite of x would be -6, and then I keep the y. The opposite of x would be -4, and I keep the y. The opposite of x would be -2, and I keep the y. So let's graph these, and it should be a reflection of the blue triangle over the y-axis. So -6, 2 would be right here. -4, -1 would be right here. And -2, 4 would be right here. So this will be A double prime, B double prime, and C double prime. Let's draw that. So at a glance, you can see that this is a reflection of the blue triangle over the y-axis. It seems to make sense. And that's it. That's how you do it. Okay, problem number 2. Again, we're going to do 2 transformations. First, we're going to dilate from the origin by a scale factor of 3/2. So remember that when you do a dilation, you just multiply x and y. So instead of x, we will have 3/2 times x. And instead of y, we will have 3/2 times y. This is how you do a dilation. So I need to multiply -2 and +2 by 3 over 2. I think I will do that off to the side. So let's see. If I do 3 over 2 times negative 2, that's going to make negative 6 over 2, all right? Because 2 times 1 is 2. But that is negative 3. All right? If I multiply by positive 2, that'll be a positive 3. Okay, now I need to find b prime. So I'm going to have to multiply 4 by 3 over 2. So let's do that. So 3 over 2 times 4, that would be 12 over 2, which will be 6. And we already found that multiplying 3 over 2 times 2 is 3, so I can just use that again. And there's another 2, so that's going to be another 3. And so just like before, negative 2 will give us negative 3. We can just use that information again. So this will be the image after the first translation. This will be the image after this dilation. 3 over 2 is bigger than 1, so I'm expecting to see a somewhat larger triangle. So negative 3 comma 3 would be here. 6 comma 3 is here. And 3 comma negative 3 is here. So this will be my A prime, B prime, C prime. Let's draw it. All right, so as you can see, we got a larger triangle as expected. So now it's time for the second transformation. So now we are going to translate the blue triangle down 2 units. So that's going to affect the y values. The x value will stay the same, but we will do y minus 2. So as far as these points go, the x value will stay the same, but I'm going to subtract 2 from each of these y values. So this is going to give me 1. All right, and here I'll have 6 comma 1. And this one will be 3 comma, and negative 2 and negative 3 make negative 5. Okay, now we're just moving down 2 units. So I think this time I will just use common sense and do it visually. So looking at the blue triangle, if I move each point down 2 units, I'm going to have this. All right, so this should be my A double prime, B double prime, and C double prime. But let's just double check. So this would be the point negative 3 comma 1, that matches. This would be the point 6 comma 1, that matches. And this would be the point 3 comma negative 5, which also matches. Let's draw that. Oh, it is not letting go. What if I come back to here? Oh, goodness. Okay, let me start that line over again. Okay, and that is how it's done. All right, how about problem number 3? Okay, so for problem number 3, we are supposed to first do a rotation 90 degrees clockwise around the origin. The rule for that is going to be y opposite of x. And by the way, I keep referring to these rules, and so here are the rules that I need you to memorize. So if you haven't memorized them yet, pause the video, write down these rules of reflection, and also write down these rules for rotation, and then memorize them. All right, so that's where I got this from. So let's use this rule, y opposite of x. So y is 2. The opposite of x is negative 2. Y is 4. The opposite of x is negative 2. Y is 4. The opposite of x is positive 2. So we get this set of points. These will be the images after the 90-degree rotation. Let's graph them. 2, negative 2 is going to be right here. 4, negative 2 is right here. 4, 2 is going to be right here. So this will be my A prime, B prime, and C prime. Let's draw this. Okay, so this is what you get after your 90-degree rotation. Now it's time for the second transformation. So now we are going to reflect across the line y equals negative x. So this is the diagonal line, this is the diagonal line going downhill. So I'm expecting the image to be over here somewhere as I reflect across this diagonal line. But the rule is opposite of y, opposite of x. Okay, that's just right off the chart. Let me show you again. Opposite of y, opposite of x. This is why you need to memorize the rules. So I'm using that opposite of y, opposite of x. The opposite of y is 2. The opposite of x is negative 2. The opposite of y is 2. The opposite of x is negative 4. The opposite of y is negative 2. The opposite of x is negative 4. So if we graph these, 2 comma negative 2 is going to be right here. And then 2 comma negative 4 is going to be right here. And negative 2 comma negative 4 is going to be right here. All right, so this is going to be A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Let's draw this. All right, and that's it. That's the final answer. Notice again how the red and blue are mirror images of each other over this diagonal line going downhill. That's what is meant by the line y equals negative x. Okay, now let us reflect across the y-axis. All right, that will be our first transformation. All right, so we're going to reflect across the y-axis. The rule for that is going to be opposite of x, comma, y. Okay, so as far as these points go, I'm going to just use that rule. So opposite of x will be positive 4, and then y is 2. The opposite of x is 2, and then y is negative 4. The opposite of x is 0, and then y is 4. Okay? Now, we also could have done this visually. The y-axis, of course, is the vertical line shown here. Point C is on the line. So when you do a reflection of a point and it's on the line, the reflection line, it doesn't move. So C prime is going to just stay put. What about point B? Point B is 2 units to the left. So if I reflect over the y-axis, then B prime should be 2 units to the right. Similarly, point A is 5 units to the left of the y-axis. So I will go 5 units to the right. So this should be my A prime, B prime, and C prime. Let's draw that. Okay, and as you can see, that does look like a nice reflection over the y-axis, mirror images of each other. Let's just check one of the points. For example, B prime, we see that that is 2, negative 4, and that matches what we got using the rule. So let's go ahead and do the second transformation. Now we're going to do a shrink vertically by a scale factor of 1/2. Now, when you do a vertical shrink, it is only going to affect the y values. So we're talking about x and then 1/2 of the y. So we're just taking half of the y values and we're leaving x alone. So x is 4, then half of y is 1. X is 2, and then half of y is negative 2. X is 0, and then half of y is 2. So let's see, 4, 1 would be right here. Okay. All right, I'm noticing a mistake in the original problem. Because point A is actually the point negative 5, 2. And here they gave me negative 4, 2. So that's actually incorrect. Okay, so point A should really be negative 5, 2. Okay, so when we did the reflection over the y-axis, and we did opposite of x, y, then instead of a 4, this should have been a 5. Okay, which I graphed correctly because I did it visually. So that's really 5, 2. But then for that reason, all right, this needs to go away. When I do a double prime, when I do x and then half of the y, again, the x value should be 5. All right, so this should be 5, 1. And so I knew that was looking weird, but now we have fixed it. Okay, so this should be 5, 1. All right, everything else should be okay. So then 2, negative 2 is going to be right here. And then 0, 2 would be right here. All right, so this will be A double prime, B double prime, and C double prime. Let's draw that. All right, and that's it for number 4.